has been sorted, so let's have a quick run through these markets and look at what we've got coming up for today. I'll start off just go back to the Forex Factory here. So today what we got here, we've got Fed Chair Powell testifying, and that is it for the day. So that's what we've got for today. Fed Chair speaking at 7 p.m. this evening UK time. I would expect a bit of volatility potentially around that. He has continued to say that they'll do whatever they need to do to support the situation. This is, you can actually see, this is due to testifying the Fed's emergency lending program. So I think actually, yes, he's tweeted there already they'll do whatever they can to support the economy. However, they might be just doing a tad too much and maybe a bit overdoing things. And the Fed have been known to do this in the past and then slow down too late and then too aggressively, and the rest is history. It was about 1999, 2000. Anyway, let's let that get on. I was also just having a quick look here whilst I was on this page, looking at the 10-year Treasury, the yields not too high at the moment, which is the lower the yields, the softer the US dollar seems to go. So it just gives me a bit of belief that we might see the dollar continuing to soften back a little bit. Just the two very correlated. Right, okay, let's have a look at the equity markets. The Forex markets would be good to start with. So looking at the Forex markets, yesterday we saw with the euro a decent enough push up there, not quite as big as Friday there, but a solid old day all the same. We did grab a long out of this yesterday. I'm still looking at this weekly pivot with the potential for that to become in scope, and just seeing the sort of the retracement here, and just to me it looks like there's potential for a bit more upside on this. And I'm looking at this, and now we're just past 8 o'clock. I would just keep an eye, just wait a little while, let the market sort itself out. But I am looking there, erring on the bullish side until we get to that weekly pivot. Then I'll take a rain check and see what's happening. But at the moment, erring like we could see a bit more of a bounce. The pound did better yesterday. Pound had a pretty solid day. It started off dropping off a little bit there, almost end up as a bullish engulfing candle. Not quite in it, but what it did do is it broke through its weekly pivot. A little bit more solid. We've got, of course, the Bank of England meeting later this week. There's expected that interest rates will be starting to be increased in 2022, and that means that we'll probably see some reduction in the amount of price action before then. Anyway, I say price action, reduction in the or tapering of the buying of bonds, etc. Now the pound itself here, looking on the shorter time frame, again it's sort of got this sort of bull flag at the moment. If it just carries on rolling over, it may just come back to its daily pivot. That's got a high probability of being hit, but thereafter I would be looking if it breaks the sort of the trend line across the highs here. If it does that, that's great. I'll be looking the longer side. If it carries on breaking down, well, the downside still has some potential. So just looking at the sort of downside here still, of course, I've forgotten what's happening on these bigger time frames, lower highs, lower lows, and maybe it'll break through there. Just watch for that support. If you're wanting to jump on, just watch for that support of the daily pivot there. I know some people will still probably be quite bearish on some of these currencies, and I was looking at them yesterday and still got that sort of idea, but things can change. Talking about a bit bearish, the yen yesterday just rolled over effectively. US dollar here, US dollar yen. The US dollar really pushed against the yen, particularly in the later session. Came through quite strong there, and as I said, it's gone the other way. It's a bit like this is back risk on again. It's the yen starting to react differently to one as you would normally expect. So it's become sort of risk on, and the risk comes back on, and the money comes back out the yen and into other currencies, etc., maybe equities. Anyway, for now it's been pushing up again. It could just if we see some strengthening here, bearish engulfing bar sitting at the top here on this hourly, could roll back some more, could see a bit more strength coming through in the yen. Now we could get strength of the yen and strength of the euro at the same time, so etc. So it's just that it's just triggering the lows there, and just looking that bit. Well, may get a bigger reaction to that. Aussie dollar, you've got to be a bit careful at this time of the morning. We do get some knee-jerk reactions. People jump in a bit quick. Aussie dollar, though, also, well, I say also, it's actually selling off here. The yen is getting stronger. This is at the moment getting a bit weaker. Well, in that case, it might be a meeting and sort of risk back off again this morning. At this moment, we'll see. But yeah, this Aussie dollar just. I mean, it's a bit like the euro in terms of it hasn't gone up to get a daily pivot, but it's just a big bearish bar there. Just looks a little bit softer. Now we've got the key line in the sand for the Aussie really is the daily pivot today. Then a break back above that before it goes off too far. Could see it still heading up towards its weekly pivot. It's just a bit of patience this morning as we wait to see how traders position themselves first thing. Now the Canadian dollar benefited against the US dollar here. This is US CAD, of course. CAD did okay yesterday, came back also to catch the pivot, and we saw some divergences. I mentioned them in the morning there. The divergence poking out there. Key tester here, if it breaks back through the weekly pivot, well then I become bearish on the US dollar CAD. If it manages to start pulling up there, well, carry on the bullish view for now at least. Okay, longer term I'm still sort of bearish on the CAD, but it's just a matter of waiting my time carefully. Right, there are the currencies. Let's have a look at the equity markets. I had quite a bit on this yesterday. About don't rule them out too quickly, and well, yesterday just proved the point. Solid old day yesterday. Yes, of course it's well, it's actually a bigger day than the previous day there, and solid day in these from what we saw. Yep, we could see another retracement here on across all of these markets. I'm looking at them on the shorter time frames. Maybe there's some signs of softening here this morning through the Asian session with some divergence going on. Might have a bigger correction. Have got the daily pivot all the way down there at 4186, so that in itself may become a bit of a target as we run through the morning, but I'm still erring on the more bullish side on these equity markets, and that's my view. Now I know other people are looking at these and thinking, well, hey, what on earth are you talking about, particularly when they're looking at some of the other indices. But as I said yesterday, let's just come on to these other indices and look at the go for the Dow Jones, for example. Dow Jones actually ended up with a bullish engulfing bar on the futures there, and is currently looking at a tad more bullish. But you've only got 30 stocks in here. It is a little bit more fickle at times, and yes, it can lead the market, but solid reversal bar yesterday. Have we got more upside? Well, there is potential. As I said, I wouldn't write them off too soon. I know a lot of people, as I say, have been sort of quite bearish and whatever else and saying, what you're talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is yesterday with the Nasdaq, we were almost within a touching distance of the all-time highs again. S&Ps, I mean, we're not too far away from the all-time highs. A day like yesterday would be breaking through and giving us yet more all-time highs. So that's what I'm really talking about. These markets are still very bullish. Okay, whilst I'm here actually on this bit of software, let's just have a look at the cryptos. Bitcoin then yesterday finally finding some support just over the it's a bit more than 30,000, is it? It was sitting down there at 31,272, getting a little bounce at the moment. I noticed that there's quite a lot of other things behind the softening of the of Bitcoin, in particular China ruling against excessive energy usage, or starting to. It's becoming more and more on people's radar how much energy is actually used in the mining process of Bitcoin. Ethereum, well, once again I should say, Ethereum again sold off yesterday. The baby goes out with the bathwater often with these things. It's dropped quite considerably this year. It's halved since the highs there, or more than halved, where it's sitting at the moment. It may find some support of this 200, but if Bitcoin was to continue rolling, Ethereum may go with it. For me, I just think that these potentially there's still opportunities. It's just waiting the time, and if they break out these lows and run through, I'll just see and wait patiently. I think there's opportunities, particularly with Ethereum and Ripple. They've got a little bit more, well, they're a bit broader, a broader usage potential than Bitcoin, with lower costs, as I understand. Anyway, they're all selling off their Ripple took out the prior lows there back to where it was way back in April this year. So, but again, I certainly wouldn't write any of the Bitcoin, cryptos off. Just a blip. Okay, let's have a look at gold then. Finishing here. Now, gold yesterday did manage a bit of a retracement, not quite as solid as some of the currencies that we saw there, and well, it's looking a bit iffy at the moment. Now, it's still got a weekly pivot as a target to the upside, so any early changes in this, I mean, at the moment you've just seen it running through back to its daily pivot. A break of this, well, it's already broken its trend line there, but it's sort of put a new high in as it did so, or just before it did, so it's sort of stepped a bit sideways. That trend line may be a bit out of kilter, but it's got potential still to, well, maybe to bounce off this daily pivot even, and reverse and continue back up there. So I'm keeping an open mind on that. Oil. So I looked at this yesterday afternoon. I don't think it's not worth it. It's only a 1-to-1, and off it flew. It was quite late. I say, well, quite late. It's 2 o'clock. We're around about my favourite time, and I was just looking at the potential targets, but it seems to be going up and up and up. And I'm sort of scratching my head to think how much further can this go? So big bullish engulfing there, continuation bar following afterwards, consolidating where we're sitting at the moment. A little bit of a gap, maybe rollover. There's my trend line on there. I was just looking, I was just sort of measuring back, thinking, well, it's only got up to about this sort of level. We're sure it hit that level, but it was sitting at about 1-to-1 risk reward at the time. I left it alone, but off it's gone. It seems to be no holding oil back at the moment, and it's still got potential. So still looking for perhaps new highs on oil. Okay, that's it. I've done Bitcoin, so that's it for this morning. Sorry about the earlier problems there. Aussie CAD, quick look at Aussie CAD then. Aussie CAD, where are you? Right the way down here. Quick look at Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD slowed up a lot here in the daily, isn't it? It's the Canadian dollar to me is still stronger than a lot of these pairings, and we're just sort of seeing this through here. It's just a little bit slower. It looks like it's got more downside to me. I know that quite often a lot of these pairs with the CAD doing quite so well, people are buying them, but at the moment, yeah, I'm still quite bearish on it. It's just not a lot of way of an entry. I mean, I can't deal when it's doing all this sort of choppy price action. I tend to step away from it. It's a little bit clearer at the moment. I mean, we saw the sell-off last week, and we're seeing the sell-off here again in the Aussie compared to the CAD. So I'm certainly not bullish on it. If anything, I'm still bearish on it, so I'm not too sure what you're looking for there, but if you're looking for more downside, well, at the moment, to me, it looks like it's got potential there. There's more likely to be increases and changes to interest rates, etc., or at least the tapering of the money that's sloshing around that's made available in Canada before we see it on Australia. So I think this would just continue to push to the downside. I know it's tighter, it's not like we saw before when we saw these big moves down, but maybe it's the beginning of an end, but at the moment it's a case of not catching the falling knife at this stage. Okay, that's it for me. I wish you a great day, and I will catch you in the morning. Take care. Oh, just a reminder, we've got 2-3 days in our trading room. If you haven't already signed up and you want to come and join us, do come and join us. Have a great one. Bye for now.